Hello and welcome to Retro Gaming Banter. In this video we will be doing a retro restore on the classic Amiga 500 that I picked up on eBay. I chose this one because, as you can see, it is very yellowed and dirty and there's some stains which should be fun to remove. If I bought a clean looking one it would be a boring video. I have briefly checked it over and it powers on fine and loads games. Other than that, I have not checked anything else. Let's get the case open and take a look inside. There's 6 screws holding the case together. There's a few more which holds the disk drive in place, which I will remove later on. The lid comes off to reveal the keyboard and RF shield. The keyboard is quite dirty and a bit dusty underneath the keys. And there's a surprise add-on board in the trapdoor expansion, which was not mentioned in the eBay listing, so that's a nice surprise. At a glance it looks like a memory upgrade. Probably an extra half meg of RAM. The RF shield is held in with those annoying metal tabs and a couple of screws. I lift the tabs and remove all of the screws. With the RF shield removed, I can get a better look at the main board. It looks to be in good condition, no busted capacitors and just a little bit of dust. Let's get started on removing the floppy drive. There's a screw on the side holding it in place, and there's 3 screws on the bottom of the case to remove. Oh, I thought there were just 2. The data and power cables can now be disconnected from the main board and the disk drive removed. To remove the main board, I first need to remove the add-on card from the trapdoor expansion. To make it easier, I remove the lid and pull it out. There's a plastic tab holding the bottom half of the board in place. Once that is pulled back, the main board can be removed. Now everything is disassembled, I can start on cleaning everything up, starting with a very dirty and yellowed keyboard. As always, use a key puller when removing old keyboard keys. It makes the task so much easier and it only costs a few pounds online to buy. A few of the keys have metal bars underneath, so you need to be careful when removing those. They can be a bit of a pain in the arse to remove, especially the enter key, which has 2 bars. Next, I clean the keys of any surface dirt and grime with some warm water and a squirt of fairy liquid. I let them soak for an hour or so. Here's some ASMR for the fans. The keys have had a nice bath and after an hour I get them out to dry off. The keys are cleaner but still very yellow, so they will need to be retrobrighted. You can check my Atari ST Retro Restore video for more details on retrobrighting. In my last retro restore video, I tried dunking the keys in the cream instead of brushing them. I got better results, so I will continue with dunking them. It's a bit more messy, but you have to break a few eggs to make an omelette. Once all of the keys have been dunked, it's wrapped in cling film and held in place with some tape to keep it secure. Then it goes into the Retrobrighting box. These keys were very stubborn to brighten. It took a good 2 days off and on to get them looking half decent, as we will see later in the video. While the keys were Retrobrighting, I got started on cleaning the keyboard. I give it a quick blast over with my Compu Cleaner air blower. Then using some IPA and a brush, I go over the surface to remove any loose dirt. While cleaning the keyboard, I noticed that it was a little bent, not sure why. Then I repeated the process with some cotton pads and buds. And now onto the main board. It is fairly clean compared to the others I've seen in the past. I give it a quick blast with the air blower to remove any fluff and loose dirt. Then I spray some IPA and using an anti-static brush I go over the board to get it cleaned. Next I want to clean all of the connectors. I spray some contact cleaner over the expansion port and using a cotton bud I go up and down the contacts to remove any dirt. As you can see, quite a bit come off. I repeat the process on the trapdoor expansion port. It's a little trickier as it's pins. Then I flip the board over and do the bottom of both expansion ports. I then repeat the process for the back panel, spraying some IPA and using a cotton pad on the surface to remove any dirt. Then for each port I spray some contact cleaner and brush it over with an anti-static brush. I almost forgot about the expansion card. At a closer look, it is half a meg memory expansion. I give it a quick clean with some IPA and the contacts and on-off switch with some contact cleaner. And now onto cleaning the case. The top half of the case is very dirty and yellowed. There is a stain on the top right area near the Amiga logo going over to the grill. This could be an issue. I use some warm water and fairy liquid to go over the case with a sponge to remove any loose dirt. Then using a toothbrush I got right into the grill and the back ridges, which were absolutely caked in dirt. You can see how dirty the water was. Off camera I rinsed off the case in the sink and dried it. The case is looking much cleaner, but still very yellow, and the stain is far more noticeable now the dirt has gone. Bicarbonate of soda is great for removing stains. It acts as a mild abrasive, and I've used it with very good success on previous retro restores. I put some over the stained areas, and with a damp toothbrush I scrub in the area of the stains. I spent a good 15-20 minutes going over the stain. It had removed some, but it was still quite visible. So time for plan B, the magic eraser. I have never needed to use one of these when cleaning cases, but there's a first time for everything. These can apparently be a bit more destructive than soda powder, so to start with I am a bit more careful. I gently rub the surface with the eraser, and once I get used to the strength I apply some more pressure. After some time the stain is less noticeable near the logo, but still noticeable on the grill area. You can see that the eraser is more effective as some of the yellowing has gone. There's nothing else I can really try, so we will go with this for the retro brightening. I pour plenty of cream over the case and dab it with a brush to get everything covered. Once the cling film is on the case, it spreads out more evenly. So once the case is covered, I put on the cling film and it goes into the retro brightening box. While the top half is being retro brightened, I start with cleaning up the bottom half of the case. It's the same process as the top, with some warm water and a sponge to remove the dirt, and any scuffs will be cleaned up with bicarbonate of soda. I'm removing the rubber feet as they're very dirty and starting to rot. I've bought some replacements which I will add later on. There was also some sticker residue which come off quite easy with a squirt of IPA and a scrub of the toothbrush. Then it was all rinsed off and dried, ready to retro bright. And it's the same process again with pouring the cream and dabbing it with a brush. The bottom is not so yellowed, but the sides are. They look more in line with the top half of the case. It's then wrapped up in cling film and into the retro brightening box. And now to put the keys back on the keyboard. I wanted to start with the 2-bar enter key as I knew it would be a pain in the arse. After some messing about, the best way to do it is click the bars into the keyboard and then attach them onto the keys. It's a bit time consuming, but what can you do? And now to put everything back together. The main board slides into the bottom half and clicks back into the holder. I forgot to press record, but I also added the RAM expansion onto the trapdoor expansion port. Next, instead of adding the floppy disk drive, I will be adding a Gotek floppy drive emulator. If you're not familiar with these, they emulate a floppy drive and use a USB memory stick to store disk images on them. I have a full video covering the Gotek drive. There's a link in the description if you want to find out more about them. I think you are supposed to use the floppy drive mounting brackets to keep the Gotek in place. Unfortunately, I could not remove the brackets as some of the screws were stripped, so I will come back to this another time. For the moment though, the side screws should hold it into place. The keyboard is then put back into place and connected to the main board. Then the top half of the case is put back, flipped over, and the case screws screwed in. And I can add the new replacement rubber feet which I bought from Retrobench at retrobench.com. They are not original replacements but are very similar. So let's take a quick look at the before and after before powering it on. The case itself was in good physical condition but very dirty and yellowed. There was also the mysterious stain in the top right area near the logo and grille. The keys were also very dirty and yellowed, as was the grille and back ridges which were caked in dirt. And a lot of scrubbing and retro brightening later, we have a much more clean looking case. The stain is mostly gone and you have to look up to it very close to see any signs it was there. The keys, as mentioned, took a very long time to get to this condition. You can see that some keys are still slightly yellower than others. I did have a similar issue with my Atari ST and went back to retro brightening those keys after. So I may do this with the Amiga as well. The back ridges were caked in dirt and are now very clean. and you can also see how much of the stain has gone from here. Now it's time to power up and check everything is working. The Gotek boots up to the HXC menu, which is a good sign. To check everything is working, I load the Amiga Test Kit software. The memory is showing as 1 meg, which confirms that it was an half meg expansion card, and it appears to be working, which is good as it saved me from buying one. Next, I want to do a quick keyboard test. The escape key doesn't seem to be working well, so I will check the contacts on that after the video. Then I noticed that the delete and alt keys are the wrong way around on my keyboard. I thought I made a mistake when putting them back on, but after checking my reference photos before removing the keys, they were also the wrong way around. I guess the previous owner must have put them back on wrong. It's easily fixed with a quick swap of keys. So after testing everything else, it all seems to be working fine apart from the escape key, which should be an easy fix. Now we can try some games. Starting off with the classic James Bond 2, which I have not played in years. I had this on the Mega Drive, so I'm playing it for the first time on Amiga. The game takes a while to load, so I have fast forwarded to the gameplay. It's surprising after how many years I can still remember the music. Up next is the legendary Cannon Fodder. Again, another game I have not played in a long time. I can also check that the Gotek buttons are working for swapping between discs, which appears to be working fine. And last but not least is a bit faster paced action with Sidewinder. It's not as good as what I remember. It's a fairly basic vertical shooter. So overall the retro restore has gone great. The main aim was to get the case looking good, which I mostly accomplished. The keys could do with a little more work. In terms of issues, there's just the escape key. My guess is a bit of dirt on the contact, which shouldn't take long to resolve. I don't plan on making any modifications to this Amiga, such as an accelerator board, as I have a CD32. I will be doing a video on the CD32 in the future to check out 2 accelerator boards, which have more RAM, storage and faster processors. So keep an eye out for that. As a quick update, whilst editing this video, the Pi Storm has been announced, which is a lower cost accelerator for the Amiga 500M Plus and uses a Raspberry Pi 3. This mod has got me interested, so I may change my plans on modding this Amiga. That wraps up this Amiga 500 Retro Restore video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe as it helps to grow the channel. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.